She walked through that metal detector looking exactly like what they expected to see. A black girl in a worn hoodie. Another case number. Another defendant they could rush through and forget. The judge mispronounced her name and smiled when the courtroom laughed, refused to correct it, as if her dignity wasn't worth the breath. She absorbed every insult with a calm they mistook for submission, every mockery with a silence they read as defeat. But what they didn't know, what nobody in that packed courtroom could see, was that she was counting, recording, building a case that would turn their own words into evidence. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from, because what happens when the truth comes out will restore your faith in justice. Imani Brooks walked through the courthouse security line with her shoulders slightly rounded. Her thrift store jeans hung loose. Her hoodie had a faded logo. She looked younger than 32. She looked poorer than she was. The guard waved her forward. His scanner beeped. He gestured for her to step aside. "Arms out," he said. She spread her arms. The wand passed over her body twice. It lingered near her pockets. Other defendants moved through the line without extra checks. White lawyers in suits barely slowed. "Clear," the guard said. Imani felt the familiar tightness in her chest. She nodded and moved forward. Her face stayed calm. Her hands stayed steady. The waiting area smelled like floor cleaner and stress. Teenagers slumped on benches. Tired adults checked phones. Case numbers scrolled on a screen overhead. Names were called. People stood. They disappeared through doors. Imani scanned the docket board near the elevators. Her pulse steadied when she found what she needed. Courtroom 4B. Judge Conrad Hale. She'd waited months for this assignment. She'd dressed the part. She'd memorized the script. Now she would see if the reports were true. A woman in a pencil skirt rushed past, heels clicking. A man argued with a clerk at the window. A child cried somewhere in the hall. Imani walked toward the courtroom. Her shoulders stayed rounded. Her expression stayed neutral. Invisibility was part of the job. Being overlooked was the point. She pushed through the heavy doors. The gallery was already filling. Public defenders shuffled papers. Prosecutors whispered near the bench. The judge's chair sat empty, waiting. Imani chose a seat in the middle row. She folded her hands. She watched people enter and settle. She listened to voices rise and fall. The bailiff appeared from a side door. He was older, black, with graying hair and sharp eyes. He surveyed the room with practiced neutrality. "All rise," he called. Everyone stood. Judge Conrad Hale entered. He wore his robe with ease. His smile was warm. His greeting was cheerful. The court staff smiled back. Imani's jaw tightened. She didn't change her expression. The judge sat. The room sat. The docket began. Her pulse steadied. She'd been waiting for this moment. Now it had arrived. Imani sat among the other defendants. Names were called. People stood. Charges were read. Case numbers reduced lives to administrative tasks. "State vs. Martinez," the clerk said. A teenager walked forward. The judge barely looked up. "How do you plead?" Judge Hale asked. "Not guilty, Your Honor," the boy said. "Trial date in 60 days. Next case." Martinez sat down. The machine kept moving. Reggie King, the bailiff, stood near the wall. His expression was neutral, but his eyes softened briefly when they landed on Imani. She looked young. She looked lost. "State vs. Brooks," the clerk called. Imani stood. Her heart beat steady. Her hands stayed still. A woman approached from the side. She carried a file. Her suit was professional, but worn. Her face showed hurried kindness. "I'm Marla Chen," she said. "Your public defender." "Okay," Imani said. Marla opened the file. She didn't quite meet Imani's eyes. She'd already decided what this case was. Another kid. Another plea. Another day. "We can get this over with quickly," Marla said. The prosecutor offered a deal. Probation, community service, no jail time. Imani felt her throat tighten. She kept her voice quiet. "What if I didn't do it?" she asked. Marla paused. She glanced towards the bench. Judge Hale was watching them. His expression was impatient. "The judge doesn't like pushback," Marla said. "Trust me. This is the best outcome." Imani met her gaze. Something shifted in her expression. Her voice stayed soft, but her words were clear. "Neither do I," she said. Marla blinked. She looked at Imani again. Really looked. The girl's posture was too controlled. Her language was too precise. "We need to talk," Marla said. "Yes," Imani said. "We do." Judge Hale tapped his gavel. The sound was sharp. "Counsel, are we ready?" he called. Marla turned. Her voice was automatic. "Not yet, Your Honor. Requesting a brief continuance." Hale sighed. The gallery murmured. He waved them away. 20 minutes, he said. "Don't waste my time." Marla led Imani into the hall. Her hands shook slightly as she opened the file again. "Who are you?" Marla asked. Imani's breath caught. She didn't answer yet. The silence stretched between them. Judge Conrad Hale returned from a recess with a coffee cup and an easy smile. He greeted the attorneys near the bench. His tone was warm. His humor was quick. They laughed at his jokes. He never used that tone with defendants. Imani watched from her seat. Marla sat beside her, still reviewing the file. The public defender's shoulders were tense. Her jaw was tight. "State versus Johnson," the clerk called. A black teenager stood. His mother stood beside him. They both looked nervous. "Mr. Johnson," Hale said, "I see you're here on a theft charge. Third time this year." "Yes, sir," the boy said. His voice was quiet. "You know what they say about patterns," Hale said. He smiled. The court staff chuckled. "At some point we stop calling it a mistake." The boy's mother flinched. Imani felt her chest tighten. "Your Honor," the public defender said, "my client has been attending school regularly and—" "Save it," Hale said. "I've heard this speech before. Plea or trial?" "Plea, Your Honor." "Smart choice. 30 days suspended. 6 months probation. Next case." The boy and his mother sat down. Relief mixed with shame on their faces. Hale moved through the docket with speed. His patience thinned depending on who stood before him. White defendants received longer explanations. Black and brown faces got sarcasm. Poor families got lectures about personal responsibility. "State vs. Brooks," the clerk called again. Imani stood. Marla stood beside her. Hale glanced at his notes. He looked up. His eyes scanned Imani's appearance, her hoodie, her jeans, her skin. "Ms. Brooks," he said. He mispronounced her first name. "Let's see what we have here." Imani's voice was calm. "It's Imani, Your Honor. Imane." Hale smiled. He didn't correct himself. "Right," he said. "Let's proceed." Marla tried to keep Imani's head down. She whispered urgently, but Imani's eyes stayed up. She watched the judge. She measured his tone. She tracked his patterns. Hale's humor landed hardest on people who looked like her. Each joke was framed as common sense. Each dismissal was wrapped in efficiency. The gallery watched. Some smiled. Some looked uncomfortable. No one spoke. Imani felt anger rise in her throat. She swallowed it. She kept her face neutral. Her hands stayed folded. Her breathing stayed even. She was here to document, not to react. Not yet. "Ms. Brooks," Hale said. He still mispronounced her name. "Do you understand the charges against you?" Imani paused. She chose her words carefully. "Yes, Your Honor." "Good. Then you understand why we're here. Simple possession. Third-degree misdemeanor. Correct? That's what the file says, Your Honor. Hale's eyebrows rose. His smile sharpened. Are you playing dumb, or is this real? He asked. The gallery laughed. Soft chuckles rippled through the benches. Marla's breath caught. Your Honor, Marla said, my client is simply— Let the child speak, counsel, Hale said. Or is she not capable? Imani felt her throat tighten. Her face stayed calm. Her hands stayed cold. She refused to drop her gaze. I understand the charges, Your Honor, she said. I'm asking the court to consider— Consider what? That you didn't do it? Hale leaned forward. That's what they all say. You think you're special? Imani felt her pulse in her ears. She kept her voice steady. I think I deserve a fair hearing. You're getting one, Hale said. Right now, this is it. Marla stood. Her voice shook slightly. Your Honor, I'd like to request a continuance to review— Denied. We've wasted enough time already. But, Your Honor— Counsel, don't let the child run the show. Hale's tone was sharp. Control your client or I'll hold you both in contempt. The room went quiet. Spectators watched with the casual cruelty of people entertained by power. Some looked away. Most didn't. Imani's jaw tightened. Her shoulders stayed straight. Her dignity was pinned in place. She refused to let it drop. Marla sat down. Her face was flushed. Her hands trembled. Hale looked at Imani. His smile returned. Now, he said. Are you ready to plead, or do we need to schedule a trial you can't afford? Imani's breath was shallow. Her voice stayed even. I need time to consider my options, Your Honor. Hale sighed. He waved his hand. 2 weeks. Don't waste them. He tapped his gavel. The sound echoed. Next case, he said. Imani sat down. Her face was calm. Her hands were ice. The humiliation settled on her skin. But she didn't shrink. She wouldn't. Marla led Imani into the hallway. The corridor was crowded. Lawyers whispered. Families waited on benches. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Listen to me, Marla said. Her voice was low. You can't challenge him directly, not in his courtroom. Imani leaned against the wall. Her arms crossed. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp. Why not? She asked. Because he'll destroy you. He'll make an example. I've seen it before. And you let it happen? Marla flinched. The question landed harder than a shout. I survive, Marla said. That's what we do here. We survive. We get the best outcome we can. The best outcome, Imani said. Or the safest. Marla's throat tightened. She looked away. Down the hall, other defenders hustled between courtrooms. Everyone moved fast. Everyone kept their heads down. Take the plea, Marla said. Probation, community service. You walk away. No record, no fight. No justice, Imani said. Justice? Marla's laugh was bitter. This isn't about justice, it's about survival. Imani studied her. Something shifted in her expression. Sympathy mixed with disappointment. Do you believe I'm guilty? Imani asked. Marla opened her mouth. No words came. She couldn't answer without looking away, so she looked away. I thought so, Imani said. A family walked past. A child cried. A mother comforted her. The hallway smelled like coffee and desperation. Marla tried again. Her voice was softer now, almost pleading. I'm trying to protect you, she said. I've done this 1,000 times. The system doesn't care about right or wrong. It cares about speed, efficiency, closing cases. I know, Imani said. Then why fight? Because someone has to. Marla felt something crack inside her chest. She recognized the words. She'd said them once, years ago, before she'd learned to lower her expectations, before survival became peace. If you fight him, Marla said, you'll lose. He owns that courtroom. Maybe, Imani said, but I need the record. Marla stared at her. The phrase hung in the air. Professional. Precise. Wrong for a scared teenager. What record? Marla asked. Imani's face stayed neutral. She didn't answer. I need to go, she said. I'll see you in 2 weeks. She walked away. Her shoulders were still rounded. Her posture was still young, but something about her stride was different now. Marla watched her disappear into the crowd. Her hands were shaking. She pressed them against her sides. The phrase echoed in her mind. I need the record. Something unlocked in Marla's chest. Suspicion, curiosity, fear. Who was this girl? Imani returned to the motel room. The door clicked shut behind her. She dropped her bag on the bed. The laptop sat open on the desk. Transcripts were stacked beside it. Labeled folders lined the wall. Tools laid out before surgery. She sat down. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. Files opened. Audio played. Judge Hale's voice filled the small room. Mr. Washington, you think this is a game? No, sir. Then why are you wasting my time? Click. Next file. Ms. Rodriguez, I don't have all day. Plead or don't plead. But, Your Honor, sit down. I'm done with this. Click. Next file. Imani made notes. She tracked phrases. Patterns emerged. The same impatience, the same shortcuts, the same tone reserved for black and brown defendants. White defendants got explanations. Poor families got lectures. Young people got mockery. She played another clip. Hale's laughter came through the speakers. Someone had made a joke. The gallery had laughed with him. The defendant had looked down. Imani's jaw tightened. She paused the recording. Her phone buzzed. Darius's name appeared on the screen. She answered. Hey, she said. Don't do this. His voice was tight. Please, just take the deal and come home. I can't. Why? Because you're stubborn? Because you think you can fix everything? Because they're still doing it, Darius. Every day. To kids who look like us. And what happens when they figure out who you are? His voice cracked. What happens when they come after you? Imani felt her chest tighten. She heard the fear in his voice. Old fear. Scarred fear. I'll be careful, she said. You said that last time. The line went quiet. She could hear him breathing. She could picture his face, the way it looked when he remembered his own case, his own plea, his own surrender. I have to go, she said. Imani. I love you. I'll call you soon. She hung up. Her hands shook. She set the phone down. On the desk sat a scanned copy of Darius's old plea paperwork. She picked it up. His signature looked smaller than it should have. The handwriting was cramped, rushed, defeated. She put it back. Her throat was tight. She returned to the laptop. She opened another file. She kept working. The work was the only thing that made the fear manageable. The work was proof that she wasn't crazy, that this wasn't just anger. It was evidence. And evidence could change everything. Reggie King caught Marla near the water, fountain the next morning. Court hadn't started yet. The hallway was quieter. He moved carefully. His voice was low. Miss Chen, he said. Marla turned. She looked tired. Her coffee cup was half empty. Yes, she said. Reggie glanced around. No one was close enough to hear. He spoke anyway with the caution of someone who knew walls had ears. That Brooks girl, he said. She's different. Different how? Just different. The way she watches. The way she listens. I've been doing this 30 years. I know the look. Marla felt something twist in her stomach. Suspicion confirmed was worse than suspicion ignored. What are you saying? She asked. I'm saying Judge Hale is harder on some people. You know that. We all know it. The words hung between them. The weight of that understatement made Marla's throat tighten. She did know. She'd always known. She just hadn't said it out loud. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because you're still asking questions. Most people stop." Reggie walked away. His stride was even, his face was neutral, but his message was clear. Marla stood alone. Her hands gripped the coffee cup. It was still warm. She thought about Imani's file. The motion request written in crisp legal language. The questions too precise for a scared teenager. The phrase that wouldn't leave her mind. "I need the record." She returned to her office. She pulled the file again. She read every page, every note, every word. At the bottom of the request list was a citation, a legal code, properly formatted, professionally written. Marla's breath caught. Her chest felt tight. She grabbed her phone. She searched the citation. It was correct. The language was perfect. The argument was sophisticated. She put the phone down. Her hands were shaking. This wasn't a scared kid. This was someone trained, someone deliberate, someone with a plan. Marla felt fear, then anger, then something else, something she hadn't felt in years. Curiosity. She picked up the phone again. She called Imani's number. It rang 3 times. "Hello?" Imani's voice was calm. "We need to talk," Marla said. "Today, before court." "Okay," Imani said. "Where?" "My office. 1 hour." Marla hung up. She stared at the file. Her heart was racing. Her certainty was crumbling. Who was this girl? And what was she really doing in Judge Hale's courtroom? Court resumed. Imani sat in the gallery. Marla sat beside her. Neither spoke. The air between them was tense. "State versus Brooks," the clerk called. They stood. Judge Hale looked up. His expression was already impatient. "Counsel," he said, "are we ready to proceed?" Marla cleared her throat. Her voice was steady, but her hands were not. "Your Honor, we're requesting a continuance to review additional discovery." Hale sighed. The sound was theatrical, loud enough for the gallery to hear. "Another delay tactic," he said. "Of course." The gallery laughed. Soft chuckles rippled through the benches. Imani felt shame crawl across her skin. She kept her face neutral. "Your Honor," Marla said, "this is a reasonable request. We need time to—" "You've had 2 weeks. How much time do you need?" 30 days would allow us to—" "Denied." Hale's voice was sharp. "I'm tired of this case dragging on. You have 1 more week, then we proceed. Understood?" Marla's jaw tightened. She felt something shift in her chest. Shame, anger, recognition. They collided and burned. "Understood, Your Honor," she said. Hale waved them away. They sat down. The courtroom moved to the next case. Business as usual. Imani absorbed the ridicule without shrinking. Her back stayed straight. Her face stayed calm. But Marla saw the cost. The way her hands pressed together, the way her breathing slowed, the discipline it took not to react. Afterward, they met in a quiet corner near the restrooms. The hallway was emptying. Most people had left for lunch. "I won't plead," Imani said. "I need you to file motions, immediately, even if it makes him angry." Marla stared at her. Fear and determination wrestled in her chest. "If I do this," Marla said, "they'll come for me. My supervisor, the other judges, maybe even the Bar Association." "I know," Imani said. "I could lose my job." "I know." "Then why are you asking me to do it?" Imani's eyes found hers. Her voice was quiet but firm. "They already have," she said, "just not with names." Marla felt the truth of it land in her bones. Every time she'd pushed a plea, every time she'd called surrender safety, every time she'd chosen survival over fight. They'd been coming for her all along. She'd just been too afraid to see it. She took a breath. Her hands stopped shaking. Her voice was clear. "What do you need me to file?" she asked. Imani handed her a folded paper. Marla opened it. A motion to suppress, a discovery demand, a request for judicial review, all properly formatted, all professionally written. Marla looked up. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Who are you?" Imani's expression didn't change. She didn't answer the question. "Will you file them?" she asked. Marla folded the paper. She put it in her bag. Her choice was made. "Yes," she said, "I will." Marla filed the discovery request on a Tuesday morning. The clerk's eyebrows rose when she read the caption. She looked at Marla with surprise. "You're filing this?" the clerk asked. "Yes," Marla said. "Against Judge Hale's case?" "It's a standard motion." The clerk stamped the papers. Her expression said it wasn't standard at all. Word would travel. It always did. Marla returned to her office. Her hands were steady now. The fear was still there, but it felt different. Cleaner. She'd made a choice. The consequences would come regardless. By afternoon, her phone rang. Other defenders called. Their voices were careful. "I heard you filed something big," one said. "Just a discovery motion," Marla said. "Be careful. Hale doesn't forget." She knew. That was the point. The motion to suppress followed the next day. Then a request for judicial oversight. Each filing was precise, professional, impossible to dismiss as amateur work. The courthouse buzzed. Gossip traveled through hallways. Prosecutors whispered near the coffee machine. Judges glanced at Marla when she passed. Hale's response arrived faster than expected. A hearing date, 2 days away, sooner than necessary, sharper than appropriate. Marla stared at the notice. Her stomach tightened. She called Imani. "We have a hearing," she said. "Thursday morning." "Good," Imani said. "It's not good. He's preparing to make an example." "Let him try." Marla heard the calm in Imani's voice. It didn't match the situation. Nothing about this girl matched. "Who are you really?" Marla asked again. The line was quiet. Then Imani spoke. "Someone who's tired of watching this happen." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give right now." Marla hung up. She sat at her desk. The notice sat in front of her. Thursday morning, courtroom 4B, Judge Conrad Hale presiding. Her supervisor appeared in the doorway. His expression was tight. "My office," he said. "Now." Marla stood. Her legs felt weak. But she walked. The meeting was short. Her supervisor didn't sit. Neither did she. "What are you doing?" he asked. "My job," she said. "Your job is to close cases, not create problems." "My job is to defend my clients." "Defend them quietly. This isn't how we do things here." Marla felt anger rise in her throat. She swallowed it. Her voice stayed level. "Maybe that's the problem," she said. Her supervisor's face hardened. He pointed at the door. "Thursday morning. Don't embarrass this office." Marla left. She walked back to her desk. Her hands were shaking again. The notice sat where she'd left it. Thursday morning. 2 days away. The judge wasn't merely irritated. He was preparing to destroy her, and she was walking straight into it. Wednesday morning brought a call from the prosecutor's office. Marla was requested for a meeting. The tone was polite. The subtext was not. She arrived at 10. The prosecutor sat behind his desk. His suit was expensive. His smile was cold. "Ms. Chen," he said, "thank you for coming." "Of course," Marla said. "We wanted to discuss the Brooks case before tomorrow's hearing." "What about it?" "We're prepared to offer an improved plea. Reduced probation, minimal community service. She walks away clean." Marla crossed her arms. Her voice was careful. And if we proceed with the motions? The prosecutor leaned back. His smile faded. Then we proceed aggressively, full prosecution, maximum penalties, and we'll make sure the judge knows you're wasting the court's time. That sounds like a threat. It's advice. Don't embarrass the court. Don't make this political. Marla felt her chest tighten. The same language, the same pressure. Everyone protected the system. No one protected the people inside it. I'll discuss it with my client, she said. Do that. The offer expires at 5 today. Marla left. She drove to meet Imani at a coffee shop 3 blocks from the courthouse. Imani sat in the corner. Her hoodie was up. Her face was shadowed. Marla slid into the seat across from her. She repeated the prosecutor's offer. Imani listened without interrupting. What do you think? Imani asked when Marla finished. I think they're scared. They wouldn't offer this much if they weren't. So we keep going. They'll come after you, after both of us. I know. Marla leaned forward. Her voice dropped. This isn't just about you anymore. They'll make an example. They'll destroy your record. Maybe mine too. Imani met her gaze. Something shifted in her expression. Understanding. Sympathy. You can walk away, Imani said. I won't blame you. Marla felt the offer like a door opening. Safety, survival, the easy path. She'd taken it 1,000 times before. Her throat was tight. She shook her head. No, she said. I'm staying. The coffee shop door opened. Darius walked in. His face was tight with anger. He spotted them and came over. What are you doing? He said to Imani. His voice was loud enough to turn heads. Keep your voice down, Imani said. You're playing games with your life, with her career. He gestured at Marla. For what? To prove a point? To prove the truth. The truth doesn't matter. The system doesn't care about truth. It cares about power, and you don't have any. Marla watched them. Brother and sister. Fear and conviction. She recognized the argument. She'd had it with herself. Imani stood. She stepped between Darius and Marla. Her voice was quiet but firm. He's afraid because he knows what they do, she said to Marla. The words landed softly. Marla felt them settle in her chest. She understood. Darius wasn't angry at Imani. He was terrified for her, because he'd lived through it, because he carried the scars. Marla's hands were cold. Her voice was steady. I know, she said, but we're doing this anyway. Darius stared at her, then at Imani. His jaw was tight. His eyes were wet. He turned and walked out. Imani sat down. She didn't watch him leave. I'm sorry, Marla said. Don't be. He'll understand eventually. Will he? Imani's breath caught. She didn't answer. The silence stretched between them. Ava Serrano arrived at the courthouse with a notebook and a theory. She'd heard whispers, a public defender filing aggressive motions, a judge under scrutiny, the kind of story that built careers. She found Marla in the hallway outside courtroom 4B. Marla was reviewing files. Her expression was tense. Ms. Chen? Ava said. I'm Ava Serrano. I write for the Metro section. Marla looked up. Her face was guarded. I don't have time for interviews, she said. I'm not asking for an interview, just background. Off the record. About what? The Brooks case. I heard you're challenging some procedures. Marla's jaw tightened. She closed the file. Who told you that? Sources. Is it true? No comment. Ava smiled, the kind of smile that said she'd expected resistance. I'm going to write the story anyway. You might as well give me your side. There's no story, Marla said. Just a defense attorney doing her job. In Judge Hale's courtroom, that's unusual enough to be news. Marla walked away. Ava didn't follow. She didn't need to. She had enough. Later that afternoon, Ava spotted Imani in the waiting area. The girl sat alone. Her posture was slumped. Her clothes were worn. Another troubled teen. Another easy headline. Ava approached. She sat down nearby. "Rough day?" Ava asked. Imani looked at her. Her expression was neutral. "Every day here is rough," she said. "I'm Ava Serrano. I'm a reporter. I'm writing about the courthouse, about how people are treated." "Why?" "Because it matters. Because people should know what happens here." Imani studied her. Her eyes were sharp. Too sharp for someone playing scared. "What do you want from me?" Imani asked. "Just your story. What it's like to be a defendant here. How the judge treats you." "Why would I tell you that?" "Because maybe it helps. Maybe someone reads it and things change." Imani's face didn't change. She didn't give Ava anything easy. No tears, no anger, just calm assessment. The refusal unsettled Ava more than emotion would have. She was used to people wanting to talk, wanting to be heard. This girl was different. "Think about it," Ava said. She handed Imani a card. "Call me if you change your mind." Imani took the card. She didn't look at it. Across the hallway, Reggie King watched the exchange. His expression was suspicious. He'd seen reporters before. He'd seen stories that turned people into cautionary tales, into entertainment. He walked over after Ava left. He spoke quietly. "Be careful with her," he said to Imani. "I will," Imani said. "She's looking for a headline, not justice." "I know the difference." Reggie studied her. Something in her tone made him pause. She sounded older than she looked. More certain. He nodded and walked away. Imani looked at the business card. Ava Serrano, Metro reporter. She put it in her pocket. Later that evening, Ava was at the courthouse cafe when she overheard Judge Hale talking with another judge. They were laughing, relaxed. "These kids learn the system young," Hale said. "They think they can game it." "What do you do?" the other judge asked. "Remind them who's in charge, quickly." They laughed again. The sound was comfortable, familiar. The joke wasn't cruel to them. It was just business. Ava wrote it down. Her hand moved fast. The joke didn't sound like justice. It sounded like something else entirely. Thursday morning arrived cold and bright. The courtroom was fuller than usual. Word had spread. People wanted to watch. Judge Hale entered with his usual confidence. His robe was pressed. His smile was warm for the attorneys near the bench. It never reached Marla. "State versus Brooks," the clerk called. Marla stood. Imani stood beside her. They walked forward. Hale looked at Marla. His expression was already impatient. "Ms. Chen," he said, "I've reviewed your motions. They're excessive and unnecessary." "Your Honor, with respect, we're entitled to—" "Entitled?" Hale's eyebrows rose. "You're entitled to follow the rules, not invent new ones." "We're not inventing anything. We're requesting standard discovery." "There's nothing standard about 3 separate motions filed within 48 hours. It's harassment." Marla felt her chest tighten. Her voice stayed level. "It's advocacy, Your Honor. My client deserves a proper defense." Hale leaned back. His tone was patronizing. "Your client deserves competent counsel. I'm not sure she's getting it." The words landed like a slap. Marla's face flushed. The gallery murmured. Some people looked away. Most didn't. "Your Honor, that's my assessment, counsel, based on these frivolous filings." Marla tried again. Her hands gripped the table. "The motion to suppress is based on— I don't care what it's based on. It's denied." "You haven't heard the argument." "I don't need to. The arrest was proper. The evidence is admissible. Move on." "Your Honor, if the court would just—" Hale's hand came down on the bench. Not a gavel, his palm. The sound was sharp. "Counsel, If you interrupt me again, I will hold you in contempt. Do you understand? The courtroom went silent. Marla's throat was tight. Her hands shook. She forced them still. Yes, Your Honor, she said. Hale smiled. The threat had worked. The power dynamic was clear. He turned to Imani. Ms. Brooks, he said. He still mispronounced her name. Do you understand what your attorney is doing? Imani didn't answer immediately. Marla touched her arm, a warning. Answer the question, Hale said. Imani's voice was quiet. She's defending me, Your Honor. Is she? Or is she using you to make some kind of point? I don't understand the question. I think you do. You seem smart enough. So let me ask you directly. Do you want to plead guilty and move on? Or do you want to drag this out? The question was a trap. Marla knew it. Imani knew it. Answer wrong and Hale would punish her. Answer right and he'd claim victory. Imani's mouth opened. Marla held her breath. The gallery leaned forward. Then Imani's mouth closed. She chose silence. Discipline over reaction. Strategy over emotion. The cost of that restraint was visible. Her jaw was tight. Her hands were pressed together. Her breathing was controlled. Hale waited. The silence stretched. He wanted her to break. She didn't. Finally, Hale waved his hand. We'll reconvene in 1 week. Ms. Chen, I suggest you counsel your client on the benefits of cooperation. He tapped his gavel. The sound echoed. Marla and Imani sat down. Neither spoke. The courtroom moved to the next case. Marla felt both relief and heartbreak. Relief that Imani hadn't taken the bait. Heartbreak at the cost, because staying silent shouldn't require that much strength. But in this courtroom, it did. After court, Marla gathered her files. Her hands were still shaking. Anger and shame churned in her stomach. Reggie King approached. He held a clipboard. His expression was neutral, professional. Ms. Chen, he said, sign here, please. He held out the clipboard. Marla took it, a standard form. She signed. When she handed it back, she felt something underneath. Paper. Folded small. Reggie's eyes met hers. A brief warning. Don't react. She didn't. She took her files and walked to the hallway. Her pulse was racing. In the bathroom, she locked herself in a stall. She unfolded the note. The handwriting was careful, precise. State v. Williams. Case under CR 2023-4782. March 15th, 2024. Transcript doesn't match outcome. That was all. No explanation. No signature. Marla stared at the note. Her hands were cold. Reggie was giving her something. Evidence. Proof. A warning that someone inside the system was paying attention. She put the note in her pocket. She returned to her office. She logged into the case database. She searched the number. State Fu Williams appeared. A teenager. Black. Charged with possession. The outcome showed a guilty plea. 6 months probation? Marla pulled the transcript. She read carefully. Her chest tightened with each page. The defendant had said not guilty. Clearly. Multiple times. The transcript showed it. But somehow the plea had been recorded as guilty. The judge's order reflected a guilty plea. The defendant's statement didn't match the outcome. Marla searched for more cases. She found another. Then another. Rushed pleas. Missing advisements. Defendants confused, hurried along. The pattern was consistent. Black defendants, brown defendants, poor defendants. The ones nobody watched. The ones nobody defended properly. She printed the pages. She made notes. Her hands were steady now. The fear was still there, but it felt different. Focused. This wasn't just about Imani. This was systemic. She called Imani. The phone rang twice. I found something, Marla said. What? Evidence. Multiple cases. The same pattern. Rushed pleas. Incorrect records. Can you prove it? I think so, but I need more time. How much time? I don't know. Weeks, maybe. The line was quiet. Then Imani spoke. We have 1 week until the next hearing. I know, but if we can show a pattern, then we show it. Use what you have. Marla felt her throat tighten. The stakes were rising. The evidence was mounting. But 1 week wasn't enough. This can't be coincidence, she whispered. Imani's voice was calm, certain. It never is, she said. Marla hung up. She stared at the printed pages. The evidence sat in front of her. Someone had been watching. Someone inside the system. Someone who'd waited years to see if anyone would notice. Now someone had. And there was no going back. The following Tuesday, court resumed. Marla had prepared carefully. She'd reviewed every transcript, every inconsistency, every pattern. Imani sat beside her. Her posture was calm. Her eyes were alert. State versus Brooks, the clerk called. They stood. Judge Hale looked annoyed before they even spoke. Ms. Chen, he said, I hope you're here to resolve this matter. No, Your Honor. We're prepared to proceed. Hale sighed. Theatrical. Loud. Of course you are. Let's get this over with. The prosecutor stood. He moved for dismissal of Marla's motions. Standard procedure. Marla objected. Also standard. Hale was about to rule when he turned to Imani. His expression was mocking. Ms. Brooks, do you even understand what's happening here? Imani looked at him. Her face was neutral. Yes, Your Honor. Really? Explain it to me. What is your attorney arguing? It was a trap. Make her look stupid. Prove she didn't understand. Justify dismissing everything. Marla started to object. Imani touched her arm. A signal. Let me. My attorney is arguing that the arrest lacked probable cause under Terry v. Ohio, Imani said. Her voice was calm, precise. The officer's stated reason for the stop doesn't meet the reasonable suspicion standard. Therefore, any evidence obtained is fruit of the poisonous tree under Wong's sun. The courtroom went still. Marla's breath caught. The prosecutor's eyes widened. Hale stared at Imani. His smile vanished. What did you say? He asked. I said the stop violated my Fourth Amendment rights. The motion to suppress should be granted. The gallery murmured. Voices rose. Confusion, surprise, recognition. Hale's face hardened. His tone changed. Sharp now, wary. You seem to know a lot about constitutional law for a defendant. I read, Imani said. Where did you read that? The same place everyone does. The law. Marla watched Hale's expression. He was recalculating, reassessing. Whatever he'd assumed about Imani was wrong, and he knew it. Your Honor, the prosecutor said. May we approach? No, Hale said. His eyes stayed on Imani. Ms. Brooks, are you represented by counsel or not? Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Chen is my attorney. Then why are you answering legal questions? You asked me to explain what she was arguing. I did. The logic was clean, unassailable. Imani had followed his instructions exactly. Hale's jaw tightened. He looked at Marla. Counsel, did you coach your client to say that? No, Your Honor. Then where did she learn it? I don't know, Your Honor, but it doesn't change the validity of the argument. Hale leaned back. His confidence was shaken. The courtroom felt different now. The power dynamic had shifted. Not completely, but enough. We'll take a recess, Hale said. 30 minutes. He stood. He left quickly. His robe swirled behind him. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Ava Serrano scribbled in her notebook. Reggie King's expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes were sharp. Marla turned to Imani. Her voice was barely a whisper. What just happened? Imani's face was calm. Her hands were steady. "He saw me," she said. "As what?" "As someone who knows better." Marla stared at her. Shock gave way to suspicion. Suspicion gave way to something else. Something that felt like awe. "Who are you?" Marla asked again. Imani didn't answer. She just looked at the judge's empty chair. And for the first time since this started, she allowed herself the smallest smile. Marla didn't wait. She grabbed Imani's arm and led her to a private conference room. The door closed. The lock clicked. "Talk," Marla said. Her voice was shaking. "Now." Imani stood by the window. Her posture was still slumped, still playing the part, but her eyes were different now. "What do you want to know?" she asked. "Everything. Who you are, what you're doing, why you lied to me." "I didn't lie. You pretended to be someone you're not." "I pretended to be someone the system expected. There's a difference." Marla felt anger burn in her chest. Fear, too. And underneath both, shame. Because she'd expected it, too. She'd looked at Imani and seen a scared kid. Nothing more. "Are you a lawyer?" Marla asked. Imani paused, then nodded. "Yes." "Licensed?" "Yes." "Then why are you here? Why pretend to be a defendant?" "Because I needed to see how the system behaves when it thinks no one important is watching." Marla's throat was tight. Her hands were shaking. "You used me. You made me part of your investigation without asking." "I couldn't ask. If you'd known, you would have acted differently. I needed everything to be real." "Real? This is my career. My reputation. If they find out I was part of some undercover sting..." "It's not a sting. It's documentation." "For what?" Imani turned from the window. Her expression was serious, almost sad. "For cases like your Williams file. For kids like your client last month who pled guilty without understanding. For every person who's been rushed through that courtroom because the judge decided they weren't worth his time." The words landed hard. Marla felt them settle in her bones. She thought about the transcripts, the inconsistencies, the pattern Reggie had shown her. "You could have told me," she said. Her voice was quieter now. "Would you have believed me?" Marla opened her mouth. No words came. The honest answer was no. She wouldn't have. Not without proof. "I'm sorry," Imani said. "I know this is hard, but I needed you to defend me the way you defend everyone else. I needed to see if the system would treat me fairly." "And?" "You know the answer." Marla sat down. Her legs felt weak. Fear and fury and something else churned in her stomach. Betrayal, yes, but also shame. Because Imani was right. The system hadn't treated her fairly, and Marla had almost helped it not to. "What happens now?" Marla asked. "That depends on you." "On me?" "You can walk away. Tell your supervisor I'm not a real client. Withdraw from the case. Protect yourself." Marla looked up. Her eyes were wet. "And if I stay?" "Then we keep going. We use what you found. We put the pattern on the record. We make them see what they've been doing." "They'll destroy us." "Maybe. Or maybe enough people are watching now that they can't." Marla thought about Ava. About Reggie. About the whispers in the courthouse. The story was already spreading. The scrutiny was already there. She took a breath. Her hands stopped shaking. Her voice was clear. "If we do this, we do it clean. No tricks that hurt the wrong people." Imani nodded. Relief flickered across her face. "Agreed." "And you tell me everything. No more secrets." "Okay." Marla stood. She walked to the door, her hand on the knob. She turned back. "One more thing," she said. "Yes?" "Your name. Is it really Imani Brooks?" "It is." "And you're really a lawyer?" "I am." Marla nodded. She opened the door. The hallway noise flooded in. "Then let's go be lawyers," she said. Friday afternoon, a clerk delivered a preliminary ruling. Marla read it twice to be sure. Her hands were shaking. The motion to suppress was granted in part. A small victory. Procedural, limited, but real. She called Imani immediately. "We won something," she said. "What?" "Part of the suppression motion. The judge ruled in our favor." "Which part?" "The initial stop. He agreed the officer's justification was weak." There was silence. Then Imani spoke carefully. "That's good, but it's not enough." "I know, but it's something. It means Hale is worried." Marla let herself breathe. For one afternoon, the weight lifted slightly. The fear eased. She'd stood up. She'd fought. She'd won. That evening, Ava published a story. The headline was careful, vague. Local judge faces scrutiny over courtroom procedures. The article didn't name Imani. It didn't accuse Hale directly. It simply noted that motions had been filed, that inconsistencies had been raised, that questions were being asked. The courthouse buzzed. Defensive whispers spread. Judges circled. Prosecutors tightened ranks. Hale responded immediately. New rules appeared Monday morning. Tighter deadlines, stricter procedures. Denied requests that would normally be granted automatically. Continuances became impossible. Discovery became delayed. Hearings were scheduled with brutal speed. The efficiency masked retaliation. Marla felt it first. Her other cases started facing obstacles. Clerks lost her filings. Prosecutors refused extensions. Judges looked at her differently. Tuesday afternoon, her phone rang. Her supervisor's name appeared. She answered. "My office," he said. "Now." She walked slowly. Her heart was racing. She knew what was coming. Her supervisor sat behind his desk. His face was cold. "Withdraw the motions," he said. "No." "This isn't a request, Marla. This is an order." "I'm defending my client." "You're making a spectacle. You're embarrassing the office. You're damaging relationships we need to function." "I'm doing my job." "Your job is to be a team player, to close cases efficiently, not to wage personal crusades." Marla felt anger rise in her throat. Her voice stayed level. "My client deserves a defense." "Then give her one quietly. Drop the political theater." Asking for discovery isn't theater. It's basic advocacy. Her supervisor leaned forward. His tone hardened. "Withdraw the motions, or pack your office. You have until Friday." The ultimatum hung in the air. Clean, simple, impossible to misunderstand. Marla stood. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was steady. "I need to think about it," she said. "You have 3 days." She left. She walked to her car. She sat in the parking lot. Her hands gripped the steering wheel. The victory had lasted less than a week. Now it was turning into a cliff edge. She called Imani. The phone rang twice. "They're forcing me to choose," Marla said. "Between what? My job or your case? What are you going to do?" Marla stared through the windshield. The courthouse loomed in the distance. Gray, imposing, unforgiving. "I don't know yet," she said. But she did. She just wasn't ready to say it out loud. Wednesday morning, Marla met her supervisor again. The office was cold. The air felt thin. "Have you made a decision?" he asked. "I'm staying on the case," she said. His face hardened. He pushed a folder across the desk. "Then this is your notice. Effective immediately. You're being reassigned." "Reassigned?" "To intake processing. No court appearances, no client contact." Marla felt her stomach drop. Intake was where they buried lawyers, paperwork, forms, no cases, no courtroom, no voice. "This is retaliation," she said. "This is management. Don't make it political." "Everything about this is political." "Then you should have thought about that before you disrupted the docket." Marla stood. Her hands were cold. Her voice was steady. "I'm not abandoning my client. You don't have a choice. The case will be reassigned." "To who?" "Someone who understands how things work here." The words stung. Marla felt shame crawl across her skin. She'd understood once. She'd played by the rules. She'd called surrender safety. Now she couldn't remember why. "Don't make this naive," her supervisor said. "You're a good lawyer, but you're not indispensable." Marla walked to the door. She stopped. She turned back. "Neither is Judge Hale," she said. She left. Her legs felt weak. She made it to the hallway before the tears came. She pressed her back against the wall. Her chest was tight. Reggie King appeared from around the corner. He saw her face. He approached carefully. "You okay?" he asked. "No," she said. He glanced around. The hallway was empty. He spoke quietly. "You can still choose." "Choose what? They're taking the case. They're burying me." "You can still choose whether to fight or fold, whether to speak or stay silent." Marla looked at him. His expression was serious, almost urgent. "What good does speaking do?" she asked. "I've been watching 30 years, waiting, hoping someone would notice. Someone finally did." His words hit her like a physical thing. He'd been waiting, watching, hoping, and she'd almost given up after 3 weeks. She wiped her eyes. Her hands stopped shaking. Her voice was clearer. "I need to talk to Imani." "Then go talk to her." Marla drove to the motel. She knocked on Imani's door. Imani opened it. She looked concerned. "They're forcing me out," Marla said. "They want me to abandon you." Imani stepped back. Marla entered. The room was neat. The laptop was open. Files were stacked. "What did you say?" Imani asked. "I said no." "And?" "And now I don't know what happens next." Imani's eyes found hers. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Then we'll learn what you're made of." Marla felt something shift in her chest. Fear, yes, but also determination, clarity. She'd spent years protecting herself. Maybe it was time to protect something else. "What do we do?" she asked. Imani sat at the laptop. She opened a file. "We finish what we started." Thursday morning, Marla returned to the office. Her colleagues avoided eye contact. The hallway conversation stopped when she approached. People who'd chatted with her now turned away. Word had spread. She was difficult, problematic, a troublemaker. One paralegal whispered as Marla passed. The words were meant to be heard. "Some people just can't play nice." Marla felt shame burn in her chest. She kept walking. Her head stayed up. In court that afternoon, the prosecutor stalled on evidence requests. Simple documents that should have been produced immediately were suddenly delayed. "We need more time to locate the files," he said. "Your Honor, this is standard discovery," Marla said. Judge Hale barely looked up. "The state has 30 days, granted. But, Your Honor, next case, counsel." Marla sat down. The obstruction was systematic, deliberate. They were turning bureaucracy into a weapon. Delays, lost filings, misplaced documents. Every obstacle made her look incompetent. Every delay made her seem difficult. Friday brought another setback. A clerk claimed Marla's motion had never been filed. The copy in Marla's hand said otherwise. The timestamp proved it. "It's not in the system," the clerk said. "I filed it Tuesday. You stamped it yourself." "I don't remember that." "Check the log." "The system's down." Marla felt frustration rise in her throat. She swallowed it. She made copies. She filed again. She documented everything. That evening, Darius called Imani. His voice was cracked, desperate. "Please stop," he said. "They're going to hurt you." "They already have, Darius. Just not with names." I'm serious. I know how this ends. You lose. They win. That's how it always works. Imani held the phone. Her hands were steady. Her voice was soft. It worked that way with you because nobody was watching. Because you were alone. You're alone too. No, I'm not. Not anymore. She heard him breathing, trying not to cry. His fear was old, deep, scarred into his bones. Do you remember what you told me? She asked. After your case? What? You said you pled guilty because the courtroom made you feel like innocence was a luxury you couldn't afford. Silence. Then a broken sound. Almost a sob. I remember, he said. I'm trying to change that, so the next kid who walks in there doesn't have to feel that way. What if it doesn't work? Then at least we tried. The line went quiet. Darius didn't hang up. He just breathed, processing, remembering, fighting his fear. I'm scared for you, he finally said. I know, but I need you to trust me. I do. That's what scares me. Imani hung up. She stared at her reflection in the dark window. Her shoulders were slumped. Her posture was tired. She reminded herself why she'd chosen this pain, why she'd walked through that metal detector, why she'd let Judge Hale mispronounce her name. Because silence had never protected anyone. It had only made the cruelty quieter. And quiet cruelty was still cruelty. She returned to her laptop. She had work to do. The fear could wait. Ava Serrano pulled data from the court database. She'd been digging for days. Her editor had told her to drop it. She hadn't. Now she understood why they wanted her to stop. Judge Hale's sentencing patterns were stark. Black youth received harsher sentences for identical charges. Brown families faced quicker plea pressure. White defendants got longer explanations. Poorer defendants got lectures. The numbers didn't lie. The pattern was clear. She brought the findings to Marla on Saturday morning. They met at a coffee shop far from the courthouse. Away from eyes. Away from ears. Look at this, Ava said. She spread printouts across the table. Marla scanned the pages. Her throat tightened with each line. Possession charges. First-time offenders. The disparities were shocking. Black defendant, 6 months probation, mandatory classes, $500 fine. White defendant, same charge. Verbal warning, case dismissed. This can't be real, Marla whispered. It's real. I verified every case. Cross-referenced demographics. The pattern holds. Marla felt nausea rise. The scale of it overwhelmed her. This wasn't one bad day. This wasn't a few mistakes. This was systemic, cultural, normalized. How long has this been happening? She asked. At least 5 years. Probably longer. I only pulled what I could access. 5 years? At minimum. Marla thought about every case she'd handled, every plea she'd recommended, every time she'd told a client to just take the deal. How many times had she been part of this machine? Her hands were shaking. Ava noticed. You didn't know, Ava said. I should have. I was there, every day, in that courtroom. So was everyone else. Nobody said anything. That doesn't make it better. No, but it makes you human. Marla looked at the data. Evidence, facts, numbers that couldn't be explained away. She thought about Imani, about the plan, about going public. What are you going to do with this? Marla asked. Publish it, if you're willing to go on record. On record? I need a source, someone inside, someone who can verify the courtroom dynamics. Marla's chest tightened. Going on record meant exposure, retaliation, permanent consequences. I need to talk to my client first, she said. Your client or your partner in this? Marla looked up. Ava's expression was knowing, not judgmental, just aware. Both, Marla said. She called Imani. They met at the motel an hour later. Marla spread the data across the bed. Imani reviewed everything carefully. Her face stayed calm, but her eyes were sharp. "This is what we needed," Imani said. "Ava wants me to go on record, to verify it publicly. Will you? If I do, there's no going back. My career is over. My reputation is destroyed." "I know. So why should I?" Imani looked at her. Her voice was quiet, but certain. "Because private truths are too easy to bury, because people need to see this, because change doesn't happen in silence." Marla felt tears sting her eyes. She thought about Darius, about the Williams case, about every defendant who'd been rushed through that courtroom. "Okay," she said. "I'll do it." Imani's breath caught. Relief flickered across her face. "Thank you," she said. "Don't thank me yet. We still have to survive this." "We will." "How do you know?" "Because we're not alone anymore. People are watching, and that changes everything." Marla wanted to believe her. She tried. But fear was loud, and hope was just a whisper. Sunday night, Darius came to the motel. He knocked hard. Urgent. Imani opened the door. His face was tight with pain. "Can I come in?" he asked. "Of course." He entered. He sat on the bed. His hands were shaking. He looked older than 38, worn, scarred. "I need to tell you something," he said. "Something I've never said out loud." Imani sat beside him. Her voice was gentle. "Okay. My case, the one that sent me to probation, the one that ruined my record. I remember. I didn't do it." The words hung in the air. Imani felt her chest tighten. She'd suspected. But hearing it was different. "I know," she said softly. "You knew?" "I read the file. The evidence didn't make sense. But you pled guilty anyway." Darius's face crumpled. Tears came. His voice broke. "The courtroom made me feel like innocence was a luxury I couldn't afford. The judge looked at me like I was already guilty. My lawyer told me fighting would only make it worse. Everyone acted like the truth didn't matter." "So you surrendered?" "I survived." That's what I told myself. I took the deal. I walked away. I thought that was winning. But it wasn't. No, it was dying slowly, watching my record follow me everywhere. Job applications, housing, people looking at me differently, all because I was too scared to fight. Imani took his hands. Her throat was tight. Her eyes were wet. "That wasn't your fault," she said. "Wasn't it? I gave up. I let them win." "You were alone. You were scared. You did what you thought you had to do. And now you're doing the opposite. You're fighting. You're risking everything, and I'm terrified you'll pay the price I should have paid." His words hit her like a wave. She felt doubt creep in. Fear. The weight of responsibility. What if she failed? What if Darius paid again for her defiance? What if exposure didn't change anything? She almost called it off. Almost decided the risk was too high. The fear tasted like defeat. Marla arrived 20 minutes later. She saw their faces. She sat down carefully. "What's wrong?" she asked. Darius told her his story. Every detail, every humiliation, every moment he'd felt powerless. Marla listened. Her face grew paler with each sentence. When he finished, she was crying. Not for herself. For every time she'd called surrender safety, for every defendant she'd rushed, for every plea she'd recommended without fighting. "I'm sorry," she said. Her voice was broken. "I've done the same thing. To so many people. I told them to just take the deal. I told them fighting would only hurt them. I was part of the machine." "You didn't know," Darius said. "I should have. I was their lawyer. I was supposed to protect them." The three of them sat in silence. Grief, shame, regret. The room felt heavy with it. Imani felt her resolve waver. She looked at Darius, at Marla, at the cost they'd all paid, the cost they'd all continue paying. "If they break me tomorrow," she whispered, "promise me you'll still tell the truth." Marla looked at her. Her eyes were red. Her voice was steady. "I will, no matter what it costs." Darius nodded. His jaw was tight. His fear was still there. But something else was there too. Something that looked like hope. "Then let's make it count," he said. They sat together in the small motel room. 3 people who'd been broken by the same system. 3 people who'd decided to fight back. The outcome was uncertain. The risks were real. But the silence was over. And that had to mean something. Monday morning brought a courtroom fuller than usual. Ava's article had hinted at something significant. The public smelled a story. Cameras gathered outside. Reporters filled the gallery. Judge Hale entered with extra polish. His robe was crisp. His smile was warm. He greeted attorneys near the bench. His tone was charming, but his eyes were cold. When he looked at Marla, the warmth vanished. Ice replaced it. "State v. Brooks," the clerk called. Marla stood. Imani stood beside her. They walked. Forward. The gallery watched. Phones were silenced. Notebooks opened. "Ms. Chen," Hale said. His voice was velvet over steel. "I trust we're ready to resolve this matter today." "No, Your Honor. We're refusing the plea offer. We request the court hear argument on documented irregularities." The murmurs started immediately. Hale's smile tightened. His hand gripped the gavel. "Documented irregularities?" he said. "That's a strong accusation, counsel." "It's a factual observation, Your Honor." "Based on what?" "Based on transcript review, case analysis, statistical patterns." The prosecutor stood quickly. His voice was sharp. "Your Honor, this is inappropriate. Counsel is making wild allegations." "I'm making documented claims," Marla said, "with evidence to support them." Hale leaned forward. His expression hardened. The charm disappeared completely. The courtroom felt the shift. The air went tense. "Counsel," he said. His voice was quiet, dangerous. "Are you trying to embarrass this court?" The question landed like a threat. Marla felt her pulse in her ears. Her hands were cold. Every instinct screamed to apologize, to back down, to survive. She looked at Imani. Imani's eyes found hers. Steady, certain, trusting. Marla turned back to Hale. Her voice was calm. "No, Your Honor. I'm trying to ensure my client receives a fair hearing. She's receiving one right now. With respect, Your Honor, the record suggests otherwise." Hale's face flushed. Anger flickered across his features. He controlled it. Barely. The gallery leaned forward, sensing blood, sensing drama. "The record suggests you're out of line, counsel." "The record suggests a pattern of disparate treatment based on—" "Enough!" Hale's hand came down. Sharp. Loud. "I won't have my courtroom turned into a circus." "Then perhaps the court should address why the circus exists." The words came out before Marla could stop them. Bold, direct, dangerous. The courtroom went silent. Ava's pen moved fast. Reggie King stood straighter. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes were bright. Hale's jaw tightened. His knuckles went white on the gavel. "Ms. Chen," he said. Each word was clipped, controlled. "You are dangerously close to contempt." "I'm dangerously close to the truth, Your Honor." "You're dangerously close to losing your license." "Then let's put it on the record, all of it." Hale stared at her, calculating, reconsidering. The room watched, waited. The silence stretched, thick, heavy. Finally, Hale spoke. His voice was ice. "You want a hearing? Fine. We'll have one. Right now. Present your evidence, counsel. Let's see what you actually have." Marla's breath caught. This was it. The moment they'd been building toward. No more delays. No more procedural games. She looked at Imani. Imani nodded. Permission. Trust. Commitment. Marla opened her file. Her hands were steady now. Her voice was clear. Your Honor, I'd like to call my client to testify. Hale's eyebrows rose. Surprise, confusion, suspicion. Your client? Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Imani Brooks, to address the court directly. The gallery erupted in whispers. The prosecutor objected. Hale raised his hand. Silence fell. This is highly irregular, Hale said. But not prohibited, Marla said. Hale studied them. He sensed a trap, but he couldn't see it yet, and his ego wouldn't let him back down. Fine, he said. Proceed. Imani stood. She walked to the witness stand. Her posture changed. Her shoulders straightened. Her chin lifted. She looked different now. Older, stronger, more certain. She placed her hand on the Bible. The clerk administered the oath. Imani's voice was clear. I do, she said. She sat. The courtroom held its breath. The silence was absolute. Marla stood. Her heart was racing. Her voice was steady. Please state your name for the record. Imani Brooks. And what is your profession, Ms. Brooks? Imani looked at Judge Hale. Her eyes were calm, unwavering. I'm a licensed attorney, she said. The courtroom exploded. Judge Hale's gavel came down, hard, repeated. The sound echoed over the chaos. Order, he shouted. Order in this court! The gallery quieted slowly. Phones lit up. Whispers continued. Ava scribbled furiously. Reggie stood like a statue, watching, waiting. Ms. Brooks, Hale said. His voice was tight. What did you just say? I said I'm a licensed attorney, Your Honor. You're a defendant in my courtroom. I'm both. Hale turned to Marla. His face was red. Anger barely contained. Counsel, did you know about this? Yes, Your Honor. And you didn't disclose it? There was no legal requirement to disclose, Your Honor. My client's credentials don't change the validity of the charges, or the constitutional violations. Constitutional violations? Hale's laugh was bitter. You're accusing this court of constitutional violations? I'm stating facts, Your Honor, based on evidence. Evidence obtained through deception. Evidence obtained through observation, which is legal. The prosecutor stood. His voice was urgent. Your Honor, I move to dismiss Ms. Chen immediately. She's clearly colluded with this defendant to perpetrate a fraud on the court. There's no fraud, Marla said. My client posed as a defendant. She experienced what defendants experience. She documented what happens in this courtroom when people think nobody important is watching. This is outrageous, the prosecutor said. This is accountability, Marla said. Hale's hand gripped the gavel. His knuckles were white. His voice was ice. Ms. Chen, I'm holding you in contempt, effective immediately. On what grounds, Your Honor? Fraud, deception, disrespect to this court. Respectfully, Your Honor, none of those constitute contempt. I've followed every procedural rule. I've violated no ethical obligation, and asking hard questions isn't disrespect. It's advocacy. Hale stood. His robe swirled. His face was flushed. You've made a mockery of these proceedings. No, Your Honor, I've documented them. The silence that followed was absolute. The courtroom held its breath. The confrontation was naked now. Raw. All pretense gone. Hale turned to Imani. He tried a different approach. Softer. More calculated. Ms. Brooks, if you're truly an attorney, you understand how serious this is. You've lied to this court. I never lied, Your Honor. I answered every question truthfully. I never claimed to be anything other than a defendant facing charges. But you concealed your credentials. I exercised my right to remain silent about information not legally required. Why? What was the purpose of this charade? Imani's voice was calm, clear, every word deliberate. To see if I would be treated fairly when the court believed I was just another black girl with no power, no voice, no protection. And I wasn't. The words hung in the air. Simple. Devastating. True. Hale's jaw tightened. He looked at Marla, at Imani, at the packed gallery, cameras outside, reporters inside, witnesses everywhere. He was trapped, and he knew it. Your Honor, Marla said quietly, my client is prepared to present documentation, audio recordings, transcript comparisons, statistical analysis, all obtained legally, all admissible, all relevant to the constitutional questions raised. Hale sat down. His confidence was cracking. Visibly, the power dynamic had shifted completely. Your Honor, the prosecutor said, we need time to review. No, Imani said. She stood. Her voice was firm. No more delays. No more stalling. We're putting this on the record. Now. Hale stared at her. His expression was complex. Anger, fear, recognition. He saw her clearly now, not as a defendant, as an equal, maybe more. Sit down, Ms. Brooks, he said. I'm requesting permission to address the court, Your Honor. Request denied. On what grounds? Because I said so. Imani remained standing. The silence stretched, taut, dangerous, about to break. Then the courtroom door opened. A woman entered. Gray suit, official bearing. She walked to the bench. She handed Hale a document. He read it. His face went pale. His hands shook slightly. The woman turned to the gallery. Her voice carried authority. This court is now under review by the Judicial Oversight Commission. Proceedings are suspended pending investigation. Hale's confident expression finally cracked. Completely. His mask shattered. And everyone saw what had always been underneath. Not justice, just power, and the fear of losing it. The Oversight Commissioner's arrival changed everything. The gallery stirred. Cameras outside intensified. Inside, authority shifted. Commissioner Helen Reeves addressed the court. Her tone was professional, firm, final. This hearing will continue under documented review. All parties will have opportunity to present evidence. Judge Hale, you will remain on the bench, but your rulings are subject to immediate oversight. Hale's face was ashen. He nodded. Unable to speak, Marla felt her chest loosen. Imani's eyes met hers. They'd reached the moment, the reveal they'd been building toward. Your Honor, Commissioner, Marla said, we're prepared to present our documentation. Reeves nodded. Proceed. Imani opened her laptop. She connected it to the courtroom display. Files appeared. Audio clips, transcript excerpts, statistical charts. I am Imani Brooks, she said. Her voice was steady, clear. Licensed attorney, admitted to practice in this jurisdiction. For the past 3 months, I operated under an authorized oversight effort to document courtroom procedures in cases involving defendants of color and low-income families. The gallery murmured. Ava's fingers flew across her keyboard. Reggie King's expression remained neutral, but something shifted in his eyes. Relief. Vindication. Hope. I posed as a defendant, Imani continued. I experienced the standard intake process. I observed courtroom proceedings. I documented interactions. I never violated any law. I never misrepresented my identity when directly questioned. I simply allowed assumptions to be made based on my appearance. She played the first audio clip. Judge Hale's voice filled the courtroom. Mr. Washington, you think this is a game? No, sir. Then why are you wasting my time? The tone was harsh, dismissive. The next clip played. Same charges, different defendant, white teenager. Mr. Anderson, I understand this is your first time here. Let me explain your options carefully. The contrast was stark, the pattern undeniable. Imani played clip after clip. The evidence mounted. Hale's voice sharpened depending on skin color. His patience thinned for poor families. His jokes landed hardest on black defendants. "You see, Your Honor, Commissioner," Imani said, "the words themselves may seem neutral, but the tone, the frequency, the pattern, they tell a different story." She displayed the statistical analysis Ava had prepared. Sentencing disparities, plea pressure patterns, demographic breakdowns. The numbers were damning. Black defendants, average sentence 40% longer. Plea pressure applied 60% faster. White defendants, average sentence 40% shorter. Extended consideration given 75% more often. "This isn't speculation," Imani said. "This is documentation. This is what happens when people believe no one important is watching." She played her own case audio. Hale mispronouncing her name, refusing to correct it. The gallery laughing, his mocking tone. "Are you playing dumb, or is this real?" The courtroom listened. Some faces showed shame. Others showed anger. Reggie King's jaw was tight. His eyes were wet. 30 years of witnessing. Finally validated. Marla stood. She presented the transcript inconsistencies. The Williams case. Others. Guilty pleas recorded when defendants had said, "not guilty." Rushed. Advisements. Missing explanations. "These aren't accidents, Your Honor, Commissioner," Marla said. "These are patterns. Systematic, consistent, harmful." Ava's article appeared on screens. Data, facts, testimony, not sensational, not exaggerated, just truth, documented, undeniable. The prosecutor sat silent. No objections, no defenses. What could he say? The evidence spoke for itself. Commissioner Reeves reviewed the materials. Her face was grave. She turned to Judge Hale. "Judge Hale, do you wish to respond to these allegations?" Hale sat frozen. His mouth opened. No words came. His confidence had evaporated. His charm was gone. Only fear remained. He started. "I never intended—" "Intended what, Your Honor?" Imani asked. Her voice was gentle, almost sad. "To treat people differently based on how they looked? To rush defendants who didn't seem important? To mock people who were scared and vulnerable?" "I was maintaining order, efficiency." "At what cost? To whom?" Hale had no answer. The truth sat heavy in the courtroom. Undeniable, documented, witnessed by dozens, recorded by cameras, on the official record forever. Commissioner Reeves stood. Her decision was clear. "These proceedings are suspended. Judge Hale, you are removed from this case pending full investigation. The defendant's charges are dismissed due to procedural irregularities and constitutional concerns. Ms. Chen, your contempt citation is vacated." She looked at Imani. Her expression was complex. Respect, concern, understanding. "Ms. Brooks, your methods were unconventional, but your documentation is thorough. The Commission will review everything." "Thank you, Commissioner," Imani said. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered. Questions flew. Cameras flashed. Marla and Imani walked through together, side by side, equals now, partners. Darius waited at the bottom of the steps. His face was wet. Not with shame this time, with something else, something that looked like freedom. He hugged Imani, held her tight, said nothing. Everything was in the embrace. Reggie King appeared briefly. He nodded at Imani. No words needed. 30 years of waiting. Finally over. The truth was on the record now. Public, permanent, impossible to ignore. Justice was rarely a single victory. But it was a practice. A light kept on. And today that light had burned bright. 3 weeks passed. The courthouse felt different, quieter, more careful. Eyes watched differently now. Power felt less certain. Judge Conrad Hale was placed on administrative leave. The investigation proceeded slowly, deliberately. Public pressure mounted. The Oversight Commission worked methodically. Marla resigned from the public defender's office before they could force her out. She left on her terms. Head up, conscience clear. Her resignation letter was brief, professional. It ended with one sentence: I can no longer participate in a system that requires silence as the price of employment. The letter leaked. It went viral. Other defenders started asking questions, filing motions, demanding accountability. The pressure built. Cracks appeared in the foundation. Imani returned to her regular practice. Her documentation became part of a larger investigation. Multiple courtrooms, multiple judges. The pattern was widespread, systemic, deep. Reform would take years, maybe decades. But the light was on now. People were watching. And that changed everything. Darius started attending hearings, not as a defendant, as an observer, a witness. His presence mattered. His testimony helped others. His scars became tools for healing. One afternoon, he sat in a courtroom gallery. A black teenager stood before a judge, scared, vulnerable, alone. The judge started to rush the proceedings. Darius stood, quiet, calm, just standing, making himself seen. The judge paused, looked at Darius, recognized something in his eyes. The judge slowed down, explained more carefully, treated the teenager with dignity. Small victory, but victory nonetheless. Ava's reporting won awards, but more importantly, it sparked change. Judicial review boards strengthened, oversight increased, training programs reformed, data collection mandated. Progress was slow, resistance was fierce, but the direction was clear. 6 weeks after the hearing, Imani returned to the courthouse steps, not for a case, just to stand, to remember, to witness. Marla joined her. They stood together, silent, reflective. The building loomed above them, gray, imposing, but less frightening now. Do you think it mattered? Marla asked. Yes, Imani said. It always matters, even when we can't see the full impact. People are still being hurt. But now they have a record to point to, evidence that it's not just in their heads, proof that the system failed them. Is that enough? It's a start. A young woman walked up the courthouse steps, black, nervous, clutching a folder. She glanced at Imani and Marla. Recognition flickered. She'd seen the news, she knew the story. She walked straighter, her chin lifted slightly. The knowledge that someone had fought, someone had won. That dignity was possible. It mattered. What will you do now? Marla asked. Keep working. Keep documenting. Keep fighting. What about you? What's next? Marla smiled, sad but real. I'm opening my own practice. Small, independent. No more institutional pressure. No more silence. Need a partner? Marla looked at her. Surprise. Then understanding. Then joy. Are you serious? Why not? We work well together. Marla laughed. The sound was light. Free. We do. They stood on the steps. Two women who'd been broken, who'd fought back, who'd changed something, not everything, but something. The courthouse doors opened. People streamed out, defendants, lawyers, families. Some looked defeated, some looked hopeful. All looked human. Justice wasn't a destination. It was a practice, a daily choice, a light kept, burning even in darkness. The system was slow to change, but change was possible. They'd proven that. Imani turned to leave. Marla walked beside her. The afternoon sun cast long shadows on the courthouse steps. Thank you, Marla said quietly. For what? For showing me what courage looks like. You showed yourself. I just gave you permission to see it. They walked down the steps together, toward their next case, their next fight, their next chance to keep the light burning. Behind them, the courthouse stood, still gray, still imposing, but different now. Watched, accountable, changed. Justice was rarely a single victory. It was a practice continued, a promise kept, a light that never went out, and they would keep it lit. End.